Hi everyone, we are on 4.01. We are learning about ratios, extended ratios, and proportions. Go ahead and write down the essential question at the top of your paper. How are ratios and proportions used to solve for quantities? Pause the screen if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and change the picture to the inside of the worksheet. So here's the first section of notes on the inside of the worksheet. We're going to go ahead and review what a ratio is, which we should have written down yesterday in our vocab worksheet. So a ratio is a comparison of two or more quantities, and we can write this three different ways. So the first way is by using a colon. So let's just say that we had a number A and then colon and then B. So this is a colon. The second way is to use just the word to, T-O. So this could be said as A to B. And then the last way to write a ratio is with a fraction, probably the one that we are pretty used to. So I can say that we have A over B, and this is as a fraction. Let me put it over here. Okay, and then for every ratio that you have, no matter which way you guys write it, with a colon, the word to, or a fraction, it has to be simplified. Okay, let's go ahead and apply it to the problem on the right side. So the problem says to write the ratio in simplest form. So it says that the football team played 62 regular season games. So I'm going to go ahead and underline important information would be 62 regular season games. And then of those 62 games that they played last year, they won 34 games. And now we're going to look for the ratio of wins to losses. So the order is really important. We want to say wins first and then to losses. We already know that they won 34 games. So let's go ahead and just find how many games that they lost. So I'm going to put wins right here first. Would be 34. Let's figure out the losses. The losses would be 62 minus 34 because they won 34 games and the rest of them they lost. So 62 minus 34, which is 28. So they have 34 wins and 28 losses. So the ratio would be 34 to 28. So let's write it three different ways. So first way you could say is, first way would be 34 and then colon 28. So wins to losses. The second way you can write it is with the word to, so 34 to 28. And then the third way would be as a fraction, 34 to 28. And then don't forget, it always has to be simplified. So let's go ahead and simplify the fraction. From the top and the bottom, looks like I can divide by 2 since they're both even numbers. Let me grab another color. Let's divide both sides by 2. Both the top and bottom by 2. This is going to give us 17 over 14. So those are the three ways you can write it. And then since we can simplify it, actually all of the ratios will be written that way as well. So you would have simplified version would be 17 to 14, 17 to 14 with the word to this time, and then in a fraction 17 over 14. I'm gonna go ahead and box my answers. All right, so here's the first way you can write it, second way, and then the third way, and it is simplified. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next section of notes for extended ratio. Pause it if you need to. I'm gonna change the screen right now. Okay, so here's the second part of the notes. So this time we're looking at extended ratios. And the name is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a longer ratio. And the definition is still pretty similar though. It is still a comparison of 3 or more quantities. So we usually use the colon to represent the extended ratio, but instead of 2 numbers, it's usually 3 or more. So in this case, we can just say usually it'd be like A colon, B colon, and then C colon, D colon, so on and so forth. But usually it's 3 that you guys will see. And we will still read this as A to B to C. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the right side. We're going to go use the given ratios in the problem to solve each problem. So the ratio of the measures of 3 angles in a triangle is 3 to 7 to 10. And we're going to use this ratio to find the measure of the largest angle. All right, so the ratio that they give us is 3 to 7 to 10. And I know that in the measure of 3 angles of a triangle, they should always add up to 180 degrees. Hopefully we remember that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a ratio, and we're going to multiply each number in the ratio by x, and then set that equal to 180. And that's going to help us solve for the largest angle. So again, that's going to be 3x, and then plus 7x, and then plus 10x, and then equals 180. And again, I just got that from the ratio right here. And I know that the 3 angles add up to 180. Okay, and then all we do now is solve the equation. So I know that 3x plus 7x plus 10x, when I combine like terms, that gives me 20x equals 180. And then we can go ahead and divide both sides by 20 to get x by itself. So after this, the 20s cancel, and then we get x equals 9. 180 divided by 20 is 9. Okay, but we're not done here yet. This is just us solving for x, but we want to solve for the largest angle. So we're going to go ahead and plug x back in for the 10x, because 10 is the biggest number, which means that that's the largest angle. Let me circle that. So we're going to go ahead and plug 9 in for the largest angle. So largest angle is going to be 10 times 9. Let me write this actually instead, so it's easier for you guys to remember. 10x, which is 10 times 9, which then equals 90 degrees. And that is our answer. All right, so that is for extended ratio. So we did a regular ratio, an extended ratio, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to the last section of the notes. Again, pause if you guys need to. I'm going to change the screen. Okay, so here's the last section. We're on proportions now. And proportions look really similar to ratios. The only difference is that it is 2 ratios, but they have an equal sign between the 2 ratios now. So a proportion is an equation that states 2 ratios are equal. And they are usually written as, again, a ratio equal to another ratio, but as a fraction. So it's written as, let's just say we had a fraction A over B equals C over D. And for any proportion, if we want to solve proportions, we just need to cross multiply. So write down cross multiply to solve. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the right side. We are given 2 ratios set up as a proportion, and we need to solve for x. So cross multiply, hopefully this looks familiar. We just take the 2 ratios and we multiply straight across. Let me use a different color, just like so. Okay, so let me go ahead and multiply the blue first, and then I'll multiply the red after. So for the blue, we have 10 times x minus 9. And then in the red, we have 15 times 2x minus 9. Okay, we're just cross multiplying. Now that we're here, if we ever have a number outside of the parentheses, we are going to distribute that. So we're going to take the 10, multiply in twice. This is going to give us 10 times x, which is 10x, and then 10 times negative 9, which is negative 90. And then equals, we'll do 15 times 2x, which is 30x. And then 15 times negative 9, which is negative 135. Now that we're here, let's go ahead and bring our variable to one side and then the number to the other side. I see two variables, on opposite sides of the equation right now. So I'm looking at here and here. And I'm going to go ahead and subtract the number that is smaller so that I don't end up with a negative. So let's do minus 10x minus 10x. That cancels, and I'm left with negative 90 equals 20x minus 135. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 135 to both sides to get the variable by itself. That cancels. And then I'm left with negative 90 plus 135. Let's do, that is going to be 45 equals 20x. And then the last step is to divide both sides by 20. Looks like we're good at decimal. X equals 45 divided by 20, which is 2.25. And that is our answer. So just three things for today, three concepts: ratios, write it as like a fraction with a colon or the word to. Extended ratios, we use that to solve for missing measurements and other things as well, but it helps us set up equations. And then the last thing is to cross multiply when you're given a proportion and you need to solve for the variable. And that is it.